Now, so I'm going to show you a little bit of a difference between having good credit and bad credit. So check this out. This is it. This is from my lending portal, okay, from one of our lenders. All right. Now, this right here is if you have fantastic credit right here. Fantastic credit. This is an exceptional 781. This right here would be the interest rate that you would have qualified for at that time, which was 912 whenever I did this, right? It's right around the same right now. And I'm doing this video in October right now, so it's right around the same if you have about a 780 plus, right? Now, this doesn't mean you have to have this to get a house, okay? Like I said, you can qualify for way less, but I'm just trying to show you the difference in how much it costs, right? So if you look at your monthly payment, $3,200, right? All in, right? Now, if you look at somebody who has a 620 credit, can still qualify, and keep in mind, these guys both make the same amount of money, okay? Look at the difference. 7.45%. Okay. Now, if you look at the difference, there's two things you want to notice here. Okay. Number one, the principal and interest is higher here. We are at over 250 something dollars, it looks like, right? 60 something dollars, 50 something dollars. And if you look at this, your mortgage insurance with the person with good credit was less than 50 bucks. It's almost 250 bucks for the bad credit person, right? Both of which increases your monthly mortgage payment for a traditional 30-year by, what is that? 400 and something dollars a month, right? 400 and something dollars a month more, right? Just kind of giving you a little picture of what it looks like when you have good credit versus bad credit. Like I said, it costs you more money to have bad credit. All right. Now I want you to just, in your mind, just aim for having an 800 score, right? It'll take most of you years, 5 years, 10 years in order to get there, but I just want you to know that it's possible. Perfect score is 850, by the way, right? So 800 ain't even really shit, right? Ideally, you want to aim for 850, but like 800 is solid. Like if you're aiming for 800 and you stay around a 780, you can get pretty much whatever you want. Okay, like my past few vehicles, I had two of them that were almost $100,000 vehicles. And I literally, no joke, because I had an 809 score, I literally sent a DM on Instagram to the car dealership. And I said, hey, I want that car. Here's my information. Here's my credit score. Get the paper set up. I'll sign when I get there. And I literally bought them over DMs, showed up, signed, and drove away. Okay? Just letting you know, because having a great score does that for you, okay? Now, here's another little secret that you got to know when it comes to finances and your mortgages, okay? Having a high DTI, okay? So what is DTI? This is known as your debt-to-income ratio. When it comes to the lenders for mortgages, they want to make sure, and this is also why you want to make sure you pay off your credit cards, because it increases your debt-to-income, okay? So the sweet spot for the lenders, okay? The mistake that you're making is you don't know this number, all right? And the sweet spot number is this right here. Oops, 43%. This is the sweet spot that most of the lenders are looking for. If your DTI is over 43%, you're going to be denied in most cases. So what this means is DTI, your debt to income. So let's say you guys as a couple, you make 10 grand a month gross, okay? DTI is including your new home, okay? All the expenses of your new home, principal, interest, taxes, all of it, okay? All of it included in your monthly payment, plus whatever debts you already have. So if you take like your cars, right? You got your cars, you're probably financed, right? Who knows how much those are a month? Whatever credit card payments that you're making because you're holding those balances on your payments, personal loans that you may have taken, student loans, anything that basically shows up on your credit report is known as your debt. And this is what lenders look at to decide whether or not, like, yeah, we're going to lend them money, or hell no, we ain't lending them any money, right? They want to see you having low DTI, right? And that you are a good financial steward of your money, because they are about to lend you hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars if you are in California, okay? Now, If you were about to lend somebody hundreds of thousands of dollars, wouldn't you want to make sure that they're going to pay you back? Right? Duh, right? Like that's like a no shit, right? So, so like I was telling you earlier, remember how they kind of figured out over the decades, right? That the certain when certain people had certain profiles, high credit card utilization, high DTI, they ended up foreclosing on their homes, right? Because one little situation happens in life, somebody loses a job, boom, they got nothing in reserves. They got nothing. They can't make their payments. Boom, done. Right. So they found that the sweet spot is 43%. Okay. So that means all in. So if you want to figure out how much home you can afford, go do some digging or just come see me or some other loan officer, and they'll actually be able to tell you, depending on what city and area you want to live in, because you're going to have to figure in the property taxes and the HOA and all that stuff on top of it, right? And the insurance, right? Hazard insurances, flood insurances, right? They're going to have to factor all that in. They're going to be able to tell you what you can actually afford based on your income, because they're going to judge that off the DTI, right? So if they see, right, for example, if your house payment, right, all in is 3386, that right there is basically 34% of your debt to income, right? So if your house is at 3386, that means you're already at 34% debt to income, and you haven't even thrown in how much is your car? How much is your spouse's car? How much do you owe on credit cards? How much do you have in student loans? How much do you have in your personal loans, right? DTI is everything when it comes to buying a home, right? So if you are really good at limiting your expenses and you're not trying to show off for the Joneses and finance everything and then getting all these debts and these high credit card limits and these expensive cars that are really out of your budget, right? Your DTI will be low, right? And then getting into a mortgage and getting qualified for a mortgage, super easy. Super easy. You got good credit, you got low DTI, piece of cake. Piece of cake. Okay? So I'm trying to teach you how to do this very, very easy. But just know 43% is a sweet spot for most lenders. Now, the only exception is FHA. Okay? Now that's government backed, right? Now the FHA is they even allow 3.5% down. Now there's other things that you got to pay for, right? But they will allow your DTI to go up to, in some cases, if they have good income and good credit, right? They will allow you to go up as high as 56%. But I mean, honestly, I would recommend that you never take that route, because that means you're already stretching yourself, and you have one thing go wrong in your life, boom, you're behind on your payments, your credit is trash, your home's getting foreclosed on. Play it safe, folks. I recommend you play it safe. You saw what happened in 2008, right? Because people were getting into homes that they really couldn't afford. Let's learn from them, right? They say the wise people learn from other people's mistakes, right? So I recommend following the 43% rule, because you want to make sure that you still have some cash flow. You can still live your life and enjoy your life, right? And your home's not draining you financially, okay? So, all right. So just know DTI is everything, right? Okay. Now, so what does this mean when it comes to your DTI? All right. Like I said a minute ago, cut your useless spending, pay off your cards, get your DTI down, make more money. Okay. Make more money. Side hustle, work more hours, start a business, scale your business, make more money. Okay. And master your credit. All right. Now, mistake number 4. Not getting a home inspection. All right, we just got done talking about the financial aspect of it. Let's talk about some more logical stuff. Okay, when you go to get a home, pay for the home to be inspected by a third party. And the reason is because you want to have a third party come in there and inspect this home. If it's an older home, right? If it's more than 5, 10, 20, especially if it's more than 20 years old, get that shit inspected. Okay, because that inspector is going to go through that house and look at everything and see what needs to be repaired, right? Or if something is about to need repairs, which could be very, very, very expensive for you, okay? So if you don't pay for this home inspection and go get this home inspection done, and you just take the home as is, And then you get into that home, and then there's a plumbing issue or a foundation issue or an electrical fire or a roof leak, right? You're talking tens of thousands of dollars right there that you are going to have to spend to repair this stuff because you didn't spend $500 or $1,000 to get a home inspection. Okay? Get the home inspection because this is a super common mistake that the newbies try and make. Get the home inspection. Okay? Because what can also happen too is when you are submitting a contract for a house, right? You can, if the inspector comes back and there's stuff wrong, you can request that the seller actually fix these things or give you some seller concessions or take some money off the price of the house so that way you can pay for it to be done. Okay? Just so you know. All this stuff is negotiable, folks. It's all negotiable. Okay? So don't think that you have to pay the price that they have set, right? You got to remember they always put cushion. Okay? So, but just know you need to make sure you get that inspection, right? So that way you're not having a costly mistake come up after you purchase this house. All right? Now, here's also what you can do. And I kind of mentioned this a second ago. You can put in an offer, right, on the house. Let's say you find a house. It's badass, right? You're like, oh, this is the house I want. This is exactly what we're looking for, right? You put in an offer, right, with an inspection contingency, which basically means as long as it passes the inspection with no big problems, you'll pay the price that you put in the offer for, right? If it needs to be repaired, then you're going to have to renegotiate stuff. All right. Mistake number 5, okay? Not understanding your out-of-pocket expenses when it comes to buying a home, all right? Most of you think it's just down payment. Here's where a lot of you guys get caught off guard. Closing costs, okay? The inspections, okay? There's more. Homeownership can be very costly, right? But it's it's a very beautiful thing though too at the same time, right? It's your house, right? But a lot of people don't understand that, you take your 3.5, 5%, 10%, 20% down, right? But what they don't know is there's closing costs at the table, right? On the day of closing, right? And by law, we have to tell you what those are way before that date even happens. But I'm just trying to plant the seed now so that way you know it's coming, because a lot of times people get caught off guard and they'll put in an offer on a house and then they come to find out that they don't have the money for the closing costs, right? So they got to pull out, right? Let's not make that happen. Let's not let that happen, okay? So there's ways around this, by the way, okay? Now, let's move to the next slide. All right. Now, understand you do not have to put 20% down. Told you that in the beginning. Okay. You can do as low as 3, and 20 is like the standard, right? But you can do much less. And FHA does 3.5 to 10, right? 3 to 20 is on your normal conventional. Okay. So understand that. So with that said, if you find out the closing costs are going to be way more than you have left over, you can actually reduce the amount you put down, right? Which means your loan's going to need to be a little bit higher, but you might be able to squeeze it in there, okay? Now, here's some other things that you can consider too. Actually, before we get into that, let's talk about this, okay? So here's what closing costs entail. Fees, taxes, prepaid extensions due at the end of the real estate transaction, typically ranging from, so however much the home is, right? It's basically going to be anywhere from 2 to 5% of the total loan amount that you got, the loan that you got. So if you got a loan for $378K, like on our other previous thing, right? It's going to be about 2 to 5% of that. Okay, so just know that. Now I'm going to tell you a little secret that you probably never heard of. I just said it a minute ago, but I guarantee you didn't hear it because you probably don't know this. And this is a secret sauce right here. This will save you a lot of money. Request seller concessions. Okay, so let's say you go and instead of offering, let's say the home's being sold for $420, you want to come in and you want to offer $400 for it, right? Which means that the seller is going to have to lower their price, right? They're going to get less out of the deal, right? Then the values of the homes in the area are going to go down, which is going to lower the value of all the other homes, right? Now what's going to happen is on a typical transaction or typical scenario of this, when you're putting 40% down on a $420,000 house, right? Let's say you put let's say you offered 400, you put $40,000 down, right? Your closing costs are going to be about 12K, right? Remember all those fees and stuff we were talking about, right? Which means all in, if you put 10% down and paid the closing costs, 52K out of your pocket's what's going to cost for that house. All right. Now, instead, if you asked for seller concessions instead, here's how this works. You have a house that's being sold for 420. You offer them 420, okay? But you request the seller pays out of their pocket, which it doesn't even come out of their pocket. It comes out of at the closing table on the day that the actual closing happens. They don't actually make any payments out of their own pocket. It literally is handled by escrow and title, okay? So instead of you trying to get a lower price on the house, just go ahead and pay 420, right? Offer $42,000 down for your down payment, which is 10%, right? And then request seller concessions. Then you pay nothing at closing, right? Because the seller covered it with their profits from the house sale, right? And then you're only actually out of pocket 42K instead of 52K. I just saved you 10 grand by that one little nugget right there. Okay. That one little nugget just put $10,000 in your pocket so you can buy some new furniture for your new house. You're welcome. Okay. So that is some little secret sauce that most people don't tell you. All right. So now here's what we covered so far. All right. So I'm trying to wrap this up. I know this has been a long video, but it's very, very educational. This is going to change your life because I'm saving you tons of money right now. Okay. Tons of money and tons of wasted time. All right. So we're going to do a 60-second recap talking about what we just talked about, just to give you a little reminder. Screenshot this. Take a picture of this with your phone. All right. What you're going to do, step one, when it comes to you buying a house, get pre-approved. Okay. Step two, know all your total costs. Okay. You'll know this whenever you kind of choose an area and you kind of figure out the community. Your loan officer will be able to figure this out. I mean, even Zillow will kind of show you some of this breakdowns too, if you look at their stuff too. Okay. So then you want to make sure that you actually, before you even do these, make sure your credit profile looks good. Cards paid off, low DTI. Okay. Low DTI, cards paid off. All right. Ideally. All right. Then make sure you get your home inspection so that way you're not buying somebody else's problems. And then don't stress about the 20% down, right? Know that you can pay less, right? But request seller concessions instead of requesting a lower price, offering a lower price. I mean, technically you can do both, right? Most homeowners kind of give a little cushion. They'll take much less than what they list it for because they know that people are going to offer less, right? So they'll list it for 420 knowing that they'll take 375 or 400. They're already planning on it, okay? So you can even offer them less and ask for seller concessions, right? Now they may not agree, they may reject you, and if there's multiple offers on that home, they're going to go to the person that's not requesting all that, okay? So, but just so you know, that's available to you, right? Sometimes you're in some of the areas, depending on where you're going, there may be a bidding war in some of these houses and stuff like that. So getting seller concessions may not work in those areas where it's a hot area for a house, right? But if it's a house that's kind of been on the market for more than a month, they're probably feeling a little more desperate because they probably already bought their new place and they're still paying for the old place, right? So they're in a financial situation that they're motivated to hurry up and sell that house, okay? Especially if it's been longer than 30 days. Because a home that is listed, that is taken care of and listed with the proper price is literally on the market for like 8 to 14 days, depending on the market in the area. Like in Texas, real estate goes real fast if it's listed properly, right? If it looks good on the inside, right? If it's an older home, you have to, like if you're going to be selling your home, okay, upgrade your house first, okay? Redo the kitchens, the bathrooms, the flooring, the paint, make it look pretty. Okay, especially if you are in Texas, because there are 11,000 available brand new construction homes on the market in Texas. Okay, like it's a lot. Okay, so people who have older homes are competing against new home construction. Okay. So the same people who came to view your home just went down the street and saw a brand new home for the same price. Which one do you think they're going to choose? Right? Now, which means if you have an older home, you're going to need to reduce the price and fix it up. Otherwise, it ain't going to sell. Okay. But anyways, that's a whole nother video. I just want to give you guys the biggest mistakes that new home buyers make, but that might apply to you because some of you guys may be in a home right now that you need to sell. So you take those nuggets too. But anyways, let's move on. All right. So how do you feel now? So after this whole little thing that we give you, where I gave you the little credit nuggets and all these little tips, do you feel less overwhelmed now? Do you feel less confused? Do you feel less stressed? You should, because I just gave you a little more certainty and a little more confidence that you know what you need to do. So you should be feeling a little more empowered. So do you think our time has been well spent? Do you feel more confident about the process now? Do you think that you have an advantage over people who don't know this? Trust me, you do, okay? Because I see them in the open houses all the time. They have no idea what's going on, okay? So you should be feeling less stressed, less anxious, less overwhelmed, right? So if you want to spend more time with me, okay, and you are looking to get a home and you are in Texas, California soon, okay, then reach out to me, okay, via DM, social media, wherever. Send me a comment in this video on YouTube. I don't care. Reach out to my information on this little image here, right there, if you can see that, okay? But anyways, my cell phone's right there at the bottom anyway. Just text me, okay? Just text me. If you're in Washington, right, and you need a loan officer or a real estate agent, hit me up. I got connections, okay? So other than that, I want to thank you for your time today and remind you what the steps are. Remember, okay, book a call with me, get a game plan. Step 2, get pre-approved. Step 3, work with a realtor, find a home. Step 4, move into your chosen dream home. Okay, so those are the steps. So now, like I said in the beginning, this was originally this PowerPoint was actually for a webinar. So I know you got no questions right now because you're watching the video. But just remember, book a call with me if you want to find out more information. If you got any questions, other than that, we will see you next time, my friends.